Good evening, America. What you're about to see will shake our nation to its core. Within hours of Trump threatening 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, both countries' leaders were scrambling to make deals. But that is just the beginning. Tom Homan, our next Border Czar, has declared war on sanctuary city mayors who dare defy federal law. Denver's Mike Johnston says he'll go to jail to protect illegals, while Homan's response is crystal clear. I'm willing to put him there. And tonight we expose how Trump's border strategy is already working as both Trudeau and Mexico's president bend the knee before he even takes office. Now, Patriot, in these trying times of border chaos, protecting yourself isn't just smart, it's essential. That's why I trust Conolidine for maximum security against pain and discomfort. Just like our Border Patrol needs the right tools to secure our nation, your body needs Conolidine's powerful natural formula to maintain its defenses. While sanctuary cities may harbor threats, Conolidine harbors only relief. It's 100% drug-free, legal nationwide, and trusted by over 1 million Americans, including our brave law enforcement officers. Visit trycono.com/NNN, because just like our borders, your body deserves the strongest protection available. Okay, we've been tracking what's been going on at the border. We've got another caravan apparently is en route, but Tom Homan went down to the border, and this is what he had to say.
Immigration are. What you've done is not only protect the state of Texas and the citizens of Texas, you are protecting this nation. It's a shame we have other governors and other mayors who are right out of the gate. I said they're going to push back on President Trump and what we're trying to do, especially for interior enforcement. Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation because we just finished a mass illegal immigration crisis on the border, where anybody can look at 9 out of 10 people claim asylum at the border will end up with an order removal. So you can't ask for the right to claim asylum, the right to see a judge, the right to due process, and we give you that due process, and at the end of that due process, a federal judge orders you removed, we have to remove them. Because if we don't, shut down immigration court. Those orders don't mean anything anymore. Take you guys off the border because there's no consequences. So you can't demand due process and the right to claim asylum and not obey the court order. That is why there needs to be a mass deportation. We have a mass number of people, millions of people who will get a final order and be order removed. If we don't do it, what is the option? Let them stay? Because if you let them stay, you'll never fix the border. You're going to send a message to the rest of the world. Enter the country legally, which is a crime. Ignore a court order. You never have to go home. We're telling the whole world it's okay to enter this country legally. You never got to go home. We're a nation of laws, and we're going to enforce the laws. The men and women of ICE, they're going to have a tough job ahead of them. And I'm sending a message for people that said they're going to get in our way. They're going to stop us from doing what we're doing on an interior enforcement operation. I've said it 100 times in the last week. Don't cross that line. It is a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal illegal aliens from immigration authorities. Don't test us. The nation wants a safe country. We've had enough crime in this country, illegal alien crime. It's time to end it and stop it. President Trump's committed to it. He's committed to securing this border. He's committed to having this mass deportation operation and concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. For any mayor or governor who's going to push back on removing public safety threats from your community, that is your number one responsibility. You ought to be teaming up with us. We have created the biggest national security vulnerability in this nation on the southern border. Because like I said, 2 million known gotaways, we don't know how many unknown gotaways, already recognized.
So it is going to happen. New York City now prepping for Trump's crackdown by closing down migrant shelters. Mayor Eric Adams' administration considering closing a Brooklyn tent complex housing 2,000 migrants, fearing Trump might cancel the federal land lease or send immigration officers to the site. Here is video from Muckraker.
Biden.
Look at that. Floyd Bennett Field, Brooklyn, New York. 2,000 people max capacity. Wow.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hey, hola.
Hey, ¿qué país tú?
Venezuela.
¿Venezuela? ¿Todos Venezuela?
Sí.
Oh, ok. ¿Y cuántos meses aquí?
No, un solo mes.
¿Y de familia tú? ¿Familia?
Ella y el bebé.
Oh, ok. Ok. Hey, ¿tu opinión del presidente Biden?
Mi opinión Tiene una opinión del presidente
Por
Biden.
apoyar migrantes aquí. Bien.
His administration is good for Venezuelans. Well, we got this guy over here. The Frederick, Maryland mayor, Michael O'Connor, declares he will use taxpayer dollars to pay the legal fees of illegal aliens. Can you believe that? You pay taxes, and now this guy is going to spend your tax money to defend people who have broken the law to come to this country. The arrogance of these people.
In many regards, this election cycle did not go as I had hoped.
In response to Trump's national immigration policies, Frederick Mayor Michael O'Connor pledging to carve out space in his local budget for a legal advocacy fund, which would use tax dollars to pay undocumented immigrants attorneys' fees as they fight deportation.
Ensuring they have the legal support they need to stand strong and remain in this community they have chosen to call home.
O'Connor explaining his intention is to allocate the money to organizations already providing similar legal services, helping them expand the number of people they're able to support, although he's still determining the exact dollar amount to set aside. Some residents we spoke with supportive of the end goal.
I believe a lot of non-immigrant people also contribute to the country as well.
But all of them against their tax dollars footing the bill.
I'm torn.
I don't like the idea. I'd rather our taxpayer money go towards American citizens.
You know, you break the law, it's just what happens. Nobody helped me pay for my attorney fees when I break the law. So why should we be paying for theirs out of taxpayer money?
But this comes at a cost. And this could be a very large cost for Frederick. And quite frankly, Frederick can't afford it.
In many regards, this...
Yeah, that's what they want to do in Maryland. How ridiculous is that? Washington Times reports that target countries are calling Trump's tariff threat counterproductive, and they are now pleading for cooperation. Epoch Times reports that the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, said on Tuesday she would seek dialogue and cooperation with President-elect Trump following his renewed threat to impose a 25% tariff on goods from both Canada and Mexico over illegal immigration and drugs. Mexico now threatening a trade war with the United States. It's like bringing a taco to a tank fight, says Stephen Miller. Our GDP is over 26 trillion. Theirs is around 1.5 trillion. Annihilation would be an understatement. Yeah. So Mexican president warning of retaliatory tariffs to Trump's latest plan. Up in Canada, the deputy prime minister responding to Trump's tariff threats. Canada is America's biggest asset. Let's listen to what she had to say.
So last night, the prime minister had a conversation with President-elect Trump. It was an opportunity to highlight the fact that the economic relationship between Canada and the United States is balanced and mutually beneficial. The fact is, we need them, and they also need us.
Let's just be clear. They need us more than we need them. Okay, America.
Canada is the largest market for the U.S. in the world, larger than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. It is also the case that the things we sell to the United States are the things they really need. We sell them oil, we sell them electricity, we sell them critical minerals and metals.
But wait until we're energy independent again. We won't need to buy our oil or our electricity from Canada anymore. That's the point she's forgetting.
Energy the United States imports from Canada is more important today than ever, at a time when we see how hungry AI is for energy, and Canada's critical minerals and metals are absolutely essential as North America and as the U.S. seeks to develop supply chains which are resilient and secure.
Okay, you bore me. You bore me, lady. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Okay, we've got Border Czar Tom Homan says he's willing to throw Denver Mayor Mike Johnston in jail over his sanctuary city policies. Did you see that? We played it for the other day, but it's definitely worth playing again. I'm going to find that clip. Here he is, the Denver mayor, Mike Johnston.
About civil disobedience. You've mentioned that a couple of times now. Would you be willing to participate in those as the mayor of Denver? Would you be willing to go out and protest these things?
I would. If I believe that our residents are having their rights violated, if I think things are happening that are illegal or immoral.
Wait. He said our residents? But what if those residents are here illegally? They came here illegally. They broke the law. See, that's the twisted logic of these people.
An American in our city, I would certainly protest it, and I would expect other residents would do the same.
Trump's new Border Czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact. Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems. Republican and Democratic presidents in the past have all tried to find solutions to these problems. President Reagan helped people get access to.
Okay, shut up, buddy. Just go to jail. Just go. Just go turn yourself in already. All right? Save everyone the trouble. We reported on this yesterday. Here's Rand Paul reacting to that Denver mayor.
He will lose. That the mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law. That the mayor of Denver.
Yeah, not a smart idea. And apparently the Department of Justice under a Trump administration, will be supportive of Tom Homan prosecuting people who are obstructing justice in sanctuary cities. Let's listen in.
Yeah, we're going to give money to DOJ, and believe me, with the new folks going in that are going to be running that in the Trump administration, they're going to be supportive, I've got to believe, of Tom Homan prosecuting people who are obstructing justice or aiding and abetting this criminal activity, and they are.
Aiding and abetting criminal activity. That is what that Denver mayor is doing. And that guy in Maryland, going to use your taxpayer dollars for defense of illegals? Come on.
What they're doing. That's what a sanctuary city is doing. And it's long overdue. And quite frankly, I've been advocating, and I know you all have too, for years, that you need to defund these sanctuary cities. If they're not going to follow the law, then why should we return federal dollars to them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sanctuary cities are now being put on notice. Charlie Kirk reporting 6 hours ago. Donald Trump's promise to tariff Mexico, China, and Canada if they don't stop allowing drugs and illegal migrants into America shows his political brilliance and the badly needed change in approach he is bringing to American politics. America is a large and important country. 12 hours. This is the aftermath. 12-hour aftermath of Trump threatening 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calls Trump to discuss border security. That's another guy, Justin Trudeau. He needs to be removed from office. Mexican president announces migrant caravans will be halted as well. And then we have, here is Trudeau. Speaking of which, he says he had a good call with Trump.
You know, bonjour tout le monde. I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our two countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do.
Fidel Castro's son there, he looks kind of nervous. I mean, after all of the garbage that he pulled in Canada, he knows that Donald Trump is the new sheriff in town.
One of the really important things is that we be all pulling together on this. The Team Canada approach is what works. That's where, putting aside partisanship, that's where I reached out immediately to Doug Ford to agree with him that we would have a First Ministers meeting this week to talk about the United States. Talked with François Legault and some other premiers as well. There's work to do, but we know how to do it.
Yeah, buckle up, buddy. Change is coming. President Trump has declared it. Here is, this is 13 hours ago. Migrants are streaming across our border before Trump gets into office. Children are arriving alone. 300,000 migrant kids are missing after the Biden-Harris administration opened the border wide for anyone to enter.
Told us his cousin. Cameras on scene in the pre-dawn hours as another group of more than 200 migrants were quietly smuggled across the border by cartels and human smugglers illegally entering Eagle Pass, Texas. Once again, there were more than 50 unaccompanied minors and children in this group. We talked to one teenage boy from Honduras who told us his cousin paid $6,000 to get him smuggled into the U.S. We also talked to a couple of little girls ages 7 and 10 from Guatemala. Take a listen.
¿Hija qué edad tiene? 10 añitos. ¿Y usted, mami? 7. ¿Vienen solas o vienen solas? Desde allá las mandaron. ¿Y tienen familia aquí en los Estados Unidos? Sí. ¿Dónde? Los estados. Pero no sabes qué estado. De Texas.
And again, they were completely alone. And as we wait for Tom Homan and Governor Abbott to arrive here, we want to take a look back at just how frosty relations got between Texas and the Biden administration. You might remember this video last year. Border Patrol was repeatedly cutting the razor wire that Texas placed at the edge of the Rio Grande here in Eagle Pass. Texas said that was destruction of their state property. They said it was a violation of state sovereignty, but it certainly didn't stop there. Take a look at this remarkable video. Also last year, the Biden administration Border Patrol even brought out an industrial-grade forklift to raise up the Texas razor wire here in Eagle Pass and get it out of the way so masses of illegal immigrants could enter the state. Now,
look at that. Literally opening up the freaking fence line with a forklift. That is what the Biden administration did. Literally opening up the freaking hole so they could go right through. I mean, that is high treason. If you ask me, a complete dereliction of duty and a violation of the oath of office. I don't even know how this guy could still even be president of the United States at this moment. But thank God the clock is ticking and Trump is about to return. I don't even know if I want to watch any more of this.
Patrol's position at the time was they got to process migrants once they're on U.S. soil under federal law, but that move infuriated Texas. They sued DHS over it, but the Supreme Court ultimately sided with DHS and said they could remove the razor wire. Then look.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I've been covering this stuff for like a long time, but I don't think I've ever seen that. Here is Pierre Poilievre. President Trump has the right to put his workers and nation security first.
And Canada's. Look.
He's the opposition to Trudeau.
President Trump has the right to put his workers and his nation's security first. I will put Canada's workers and Canada's security first. We need a prime minister with the strength and the smarts, the brains and the backbone to stand up for this country, to rebuild our security, our military, and our economy. That is what I will do.
I like that guy. Muckraker.com. They published this 6 hours ago. This is a highly detailed video. New York City illegal alien shelters set to be shut down. These shelters are dens of drugs, violence, and crime. They visited several New York illegal alien shelters, and what we discovered was shocking. Security guards on site spoke of stabbings, drug use, deaths, and other alarming things.
Largest sanctuary city in the United States. To handle this, numerous illegal alien compounds have been established on what was once prime New York real estate. Muckraker conducted the first ever investigation of 3 of these compounds at Randall's Island, the Row Hotel, and Floyd Bennett Field. Over the course of our investigation, we discovered open drug dealing, stories of violence and weapons inside these facilities, shocking internal reports, and much more. We also interviewed a whistleblower who formerly worked inside these facilities. This is a first ever look inside New York's illegal alien compounds.
Okay, go to their X profile, Real Muckraker, and you can watch this entire thing. It's like 26 minutes long. These guys do phenomenal work. And speaking of phenomenal work, I need to bring out something to your attention here. Terry Newsom. This was actually 6 days ago, and I'm really long overdue in presenting this to you guys. But he went on with Emerald Robinson. And, you know, what I just showed you was what's happening in New York. But what Terry Newsom uncovered about what's happening in Chicago, just how much tax money is being blown. Okay, he uncovered damaging information shared by the Chicago illegal shelter, a whistleblower. The guy was paid $360,000 in tax dollars just to watch illegals.
The city of Chicago has been paying gobs of tax dollars to create shelters to house illegal immigrants in the Windy City. I know the people of Appalachia and Western North Carolina would love to have some of that money for shelter. But a whistleblower from one of those facilities has shared with our friend and next guest, Terry Newsom, his concerns that your money in Chicago is not only supporting the invasion by illegals, but is also being blown on pricey no-show jobs for the people who work at these housing facilities.
Pricey no-show jobs. Oh my goodness.
Here's one of the many email exchanges between the whistleblower and Securitas, the company in charge of providing security for these facilities, in which the whistleblower was told that, quote, Securitas is not contracted with the mission, but rather the city of Chicago as a whole. As such, there is not a need for our mission staff to complete staff tracking at this time. To which the whistleblower replied, quote, the reason I created the tracker was to protect company assets. How else to know which invoices are legit and which aren't? It gets better though. According to CBS News, quote, the Chicago City Council on Thursday also voted to accept $33 million in federal funding to help cover previous and future costs of addressing the needs of migrants. These stories confirm a wider, more troubling picture of multiple blue cities, such as Chicago, spending tax dollars to give illegals housing, as well as debit and or credit cards. Joining us now is Terry Newsom. He's the host of Behind Enemy Lines podcast and the man who brought us these troubling whistleblower claims. Terry, good to see you. I mean, it's very troubling, but it's also just as we suspected, right?
Yeah, they've seemed to do a good job at trying to hide like organized crime or something, layers of how they hide this money and how it's being spent and how it starts from the federal government, is pushed through NGOs, then through the city of Chicago, then distributed amongst their friends and different consulting firms and security guard firms and food organizations that feed these illegal immigrants. And then you have the leadership who doesn't even care if they're paying the appropriate fees for these services, doesn't even care.
I just want to clarify too, and I don't know if we have it, but I believe you were also shared a disclosure from a whistleblower who revealed that they were making $1,000 a day, right, to work in one of these migrant shelters that would initially add up to a very lucrative job, $330,000 a year. It actually started as more like $360,000 a year. They reduced it by $30,000, but still, I mean, $330,000 a year for one worker is quite a price tag, Terry.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this guy worked at a mid-level shelter. There was 27 shelters. I've gotten the names of all the shelters, the names of the people who.
Sorry, what do you mean by mid-level? Just to clarify.
I think he only had 500 people. at his shelter. Like some of the ones that we've covered in the past in Chicago or Pilsen had upwards of 2,000. So this is the structure that
okay,
shared.
gotcha.
Wow.
He was like a PMO, right? And he would work 12 and a half hours a day, 7 days a week. And then he would get 360,000. But after he started, they lowered it to 330,000. Then he had 2 project managers that worked under him. Again, there are more people that work at the larger shelters. He had one that worked morning, one that worked evening shifts. These people received $275,000 a year. Then below that, there was 2 operational folks. One that's in charge of shelter operations and the other one that's in charge of staffing and resources. Those individuals got $200,000 a year. So keep in mind, that doesn't account for the security guard services, which he shared, he put together an Excel spreadsheet to try to show the city of Chicago, hey, number one, these people aren't showing up to provide security. And I think we know how dangerous some of these shelters are, right? So this was in the beginning. And there you go. Look at the green. That's the only times they showed up in this one snapshot of what was shared with me. And then when he elevated it to getting support for Marcela Gonzalez, who's on that email, she basically said, don't worry about it. It's not your responsibility. And
oh my goodness. Wow. That's your taxpayer dollars. But see, here's the good news. This is all coming to an end. Okay, we got the inauguration ahead of us. We've got some great things to look forward to. So this madness is all coming to an end. But these tariffs have got Mexico, they've got Canada freaking out. I mean, Mexico suggesting it would impose its own tariffs to retaliate against Trump, which is ridiculous. Okay, here's the incoming Border Czar, Tom Homan, with the governor of Texas with Hannity.
Or state, Tom, you heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it, and I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute. It's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III. And what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also a felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And I find it shocking that any mayor of a city would say, President Trump's been clear. We want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, if you don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
Buckle up, buddy. Justice is coming. CBS News on what's to come. Reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, deactivate the CPB-1 app, which is how they're getting around this whole asylum registration process, where you have to check in and have the asylum like at a point of entry. They can just do it on an app. Yeah, there's an app for that. The largest deportation operation in history utilized military aircraft to deport deputized National Guard to round up the illegals. The next 4 years are going to be fantastic. Here is CBS News reporting on this fact.
Appointments. Hi, Liz. Well, President-elect Trump is promising to oversee a dramatic and seismic shift in policy here at the U.S.-Mexico border. The incoming administration is pledging to reinstate policies like the Remain in Mexico program that requires migrants to await their asylum hearings on the other side of the border in Mexico and to have their cases adjudicated while they await their hearings outside of the U.S. They are also pledging to terminate several Biden administration programs, Liz, that currently allow migrants to enter the country legally, including a smartphone app that allows people in Mexico to request asylum appointments at official border crossings through that application. And importantly, of course, the incoming administration led by Tom Homan as the Border Czar designated person is also promising to oversee the largest deportation operation in American history. And Homan told us that he will try to enlist the help of the Department of Defense for this massive operation, including by trying to use military planes to deport undocumented immigrants. People like Stephen Miller, the incoming Deputy Chief of Staff, have also said that the National Guard could be deputized in friendly states to arrest and deport unauthorized immigrants. And we are actually in front of the largest Texas military base here in Eagle Pass across the Rio Grande River. And it is very likely, Liz, that the Texas National Guard could help the incoming administration carry out this massive operation.
I hope they do. We need to clean house. Border Czar Tom Homan says he's willing to throw the Denver mayor, Mike Johnston, in jail over his policies. And then, of course, the Frederick, Maryland mayor, Mexico president Claudia Sheinbaum, what she just said. Oh, and here, okay, so we've also got this guy here. Doug Ford responding to Trump's threat. Listen to what he says.
Well, good morning, everyone. Last night at 6:35, we received the biggest threat we've ever received from our...
You see how he automatically characterizes what Trump says as a threat.
...closest friends and ally from President-elect Trump, that they're threatening to put a 25% tariff on all goods coming across the border into the U.S. and Mexico. What I found unfair about the comments is to compare us to Mexico. And I can tell you, Canada is no Mexico. We do approximately, just Ontario alone, $500 billion of two-way trade.
I mean, you can drink the water, too.
I found his comments unfair. I found him insulting. It's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart.
Oh, really?
Spent a lot of time in the U.S., and I have yet to talk to one American that has any issue with Canadians. We see drugs flow from Mexico, coming up through California, in through BC, into Alberta, into Ontario, and what we need to do is take that threat seriously. I had a conversation with the Prime Minister after he spoke to the President-elect.
See, that's what President Trump is trying to do. He's taking it seriously, and he's saying, I'm going to do these tariffs so you guys take it seriously. Okay? Stop just, sitting back and watching it all happen. The party's over.
Last night, the threat is serious. We need to do better on our borders. We need to give the resources to CBSA, which are fine people. And I know, talking to other premiers last night, that we will do everything we can as provincial governments and territorial governments to secure our borders.
Good. All right. So you took the threat seriously. Here is Janine Pirro.
You know that. What I want to talk about is the fact that this isn't Hollywood. And I love you, Harold. You know that.
God, better get out that Tom Cruise jacket and put a suit on.
Tom Homan is not overdoing it. And America has waited for someone like Tom Homan for a long time. And it's, I think, 3/4. It's more than 70%. Almost 75% of Americans think that Donald Trump has to prioritize these deportations. And when Tom Homan talks about 8 U.S.C. Code 1324, Section 3, where an alien has come or entered or remains in the United States in violation of the law, and you conceal, harbor, or shield them from detection, or you can attempt to do the same, you are guilty of a felony. So this guy who's dancing around the mayor of Denver, I mean, he's a joke. This is all going to end. He's trying to get some attention because that guy right there on the screen is dead serious. He's going to have a Department of Justice with Pam Bondi who's going to be able to back it up. They're going to have the legal force to be able to do it. Now, let's talk about the fact that apparently China has had a death penalty for drug dealers. And apparently they've refused to make good on that death death penalty statute. And Donald Trump is saying, you know what, if you're not going to use it, then we're going to add 10% on your goods as well. Now, I don't claim to be as knowledgeable on tariffs as you guys. I don't really care. What I care about is within 2 hours, Trudeau jumps, and this woman, the new prime minister or president of Mexico, is jumping. Nobody wants to lose the United States, okay? Nobody wants to lose the power, the money that we give away, and everything else. But I think that there's something significant. This is my last point, Dana, is that we get 60% of our crude oil from Canada. All right. Now, if the United States is going to be energy independent again, we have an even tougher negotiating stance with Canada because we're not going to need as much of that crude oil when we start doing our own dance here.
It's exactly what I said. Because when we become energy independent again, we don't need them anymore. So we have a stronger position. Oh boy. Yeah, this is all happening, folks. The party's over. Get ready for tariffs. Get ready for the deportations. Yeah, I posted this. I said, oh no, Mexico cutting off trade? How will we ever survive without all the avocados and tequila? Meanwhile, they'll just lose access to $265 billion worth of U.S. goods like machinery, vehicles, and electronics. Sounds like a winning strategy for us. Bring it on. Yeah, they think they can strong arm us, but no, we've got it all. We have more power. The Appalachian Podcast. If your mayor is openly admitting his willingness to break the law in order to protect everyone but his own citizens no less, you have every right to remove him. This is an absolute slap in the face to the people of Frederick, Maryland, and they should not stand for this at all. The party's over. They know it. And we're here for it. So here's the reality, folks. The battle for America's borders has begun. Trump is not even in office yet. But the 25% tariff threat, well, it's not just about economics, it's about survival. Mexico and Canada can either help secure our borders or watch their economies crumble. Meanwhile, rogue mayors playing sanctuary city games are about to learn what law enforcement really means. Now, before we move on, here is what I want to know from you in the comments. Should sanctuary city mayors face federal charges for harboring illegal aliens? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of taking a stand, have you seen our exclusive MAGA Avengers collection at the Next News Network merch shop? Yes, it has just dropped and it's flying off the shelves, so show the world you stand for secure borders and American sovereignty. Visit shop.nextnewsnetwork.com now before these limited edition pieces are gone. And I'll see you in the comments.